Hello and welcome to Easy Odds special Euro 2016. Special again. I said special,
So
wrong,
special.
at the wrong time. But Euro 2016 only around the corner now, 9 days away.
Yeah.
Everyone's excited. We're going to win it this time.
Do you reckon?
Yes.
Well, I hope so because we've got them in. Well, I've got them in the Easy Odds sweepstakes. So.
Guess who I have in Easy Odds sweepstake? Iceland. Yeah, they're going to win. Wales. Don't want them to win even if they did. And Italy.
Could happen.
Could happen, I suppose, but unlikely. This first video is going to just be outright tips, so outright winner, player of the tournament, top goal scorer. There's the three we're going to cover in it, Ross.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this video, first off, sponsored by Ladbrokes. Thanks to the guys at Ladbrokes for sponsoring this video. But first, we're going to go to outright winner, the big one. Who's going to win?
One.
England. Moving on, player of the tournament, Dele Alli, top goal scorer, Harry Kane. Thank you, that was Easy Odds. Welcome to, carry on.
Could well happen. And moving on, as we move into the Euros, we're going to have daily tips from myself and Jake. We're going to be keeping score, seeing who can get the best tips for Euro 2016. So we'll see how that goes. Looking forward to that, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Should be a laugh. But let's crack on now with outright winner tip. Tipped them at 12 to 1, already shortened to 11 to 1. I've gone for Belgium. I think they've gone under the radar a little bit. After Wales beat them in Cardiff, that was kind of where the British public were kind of like, oh, this much vaulted Belgian side, maybe they're not up to much. They've lost to a team that have like Chris Ganter and Hal Robson-Kanu. But you're allowed to have one bad result, and particularly moving forward from that match, Belgium qualified with 23 points and a plus 19 goal difference. They didn't exactly do terribly in their qualifying. Granted, they failed to beat Wales in both their home and away leg, but you don't have to beat every team to qualify. They still finished top of the group, and I think 12 to 1 on offer now, 11 to 1 best price. Still looks a really good price. You've got 5 teams in front of them in the betting market. So according to the bookies, they're the 6th best team in this competition. They've got France favourite 16 to 5, Germany 4 to 1, second favourite, Spain third favourites 11 to 2, and your tip England 9 to 1. All fair prices, I would say. Possibly not Germany with their recent scores, but I just think 12 to 1 as I tip them at, or 11 to 1 now. Belgium, really decent price. Granted, they've got a tough group to get through. They've got Sweden, Ireland, and Italy.
That's the group of death, isn't it, really, I suppose?
Yeah, but you can also highlight the fact that Sweden only won 5 of their qualifying matches. Italy are kind of an unknown quantity at the moment because they're kind of good against the teams that they should be better than, and then they failed to beat the teams that they are not as good as. So, And Ireland have just lost to Belarus. So, granted, they played a pretty makeshift team in that game, but a group of death of those 3 teams, I would take that. I wouldn't necessarily call that a group of death. I'll call that maybe a group of man flu. So I think that going through those 3 teams, touch wood, get through that group fairly easily, and then you're on to the last 16, and that's where it's more of a lottery, of course. But I think playing the better sides early on is actually a good thing. I know France and Portugal in particular have got really good groups heading into the knockout stages. But is it a good thing to be playing poor sides on the way and then meeting a better team? I think it's actually possibly better to test yourself early on, actually. So I think this Belgian side can actually do it. When they qualify for that tough field, they can take in plenty of belief going into the knockout rounds. They've lost just 3 times since February 2013. Got a really impressive squad. In particular, the midfield 3 possibility of De Bruyne, Carrasco, and Hazard. To me, is just an absolute.
Lukaku.
And then all 3 of those behind probably Lukaku.
Then they've got Vertonghen.
They've got Vertonghen, yeah.
They've got a choice of a couple of goalies.
Absolutely. I just think that the best value choice here is Belgium at 12 to 1.
I agree, I think. Because I think the reason they're 12 to 1 is because their group's so hard. And obviously they're kind of new boys, really,
exactly,
aren't they?
Yeah.
They've kind of come up. They out of nowhere. This suddenly just got an unbelievably good team. They probably have. up there with the best squad in the tournament, I'd say.
Yeah, they did get to the quarterfinals in the World Cup, but they lost to Argentina 1-0 in the quarterfinals eventually. But they weren't exactly exciting to watch in that tournament. They only scored, I think it was 6 goals in 5 games, which isn't exactly amazing. I think they'll learn from that. Hopefully, Mark Wilmot, the manager, has learned from that, and they can play a bit more expansive football because he's got the players in the squad that can do it.
Yeah,
I just think 12-1 is a really good price.
if they're on song though, that is a really good price for sure. Next up, we're going for player of the tournament.
Absolutely.
Who's this voted by? Is it voted by UEFA or?
I think it's voted by UEFA.
Okay, so I'm assuming it's going to be a Belgian player, but which one is it going to be?
Yeah, it is going to be a Belgian player, and I'm going to be slightly controversial here because he's had such a torrid season, and that's Eden Hazard. He was just very, very poor this season. Apparently he fell out with Jose Mourinho, and that was a big reason as to his poor form. Of course, he left the club around about mid-season, and that coincided with a much improved Hazard. In particular, Tottenham fans will remember the goal that stopped them from winning the Premier League. That was an absolutely great strike. And if he's on song, he is more than capable, and he's in a team here that needs him and loves him, and Mark Wilmots loves him and will always have his shoulder around him saying, you're our best player, you need to do what you do. And the best price here of 20-1 to be player of the tournament, as I've picked a player, Belgium to win the tournament, it makes sense for me to pick a player who was basically Belgium's most prolific player. He was joint top scorer with Lukaku with De Bruyne in qualifying. Both scored 5 goals. 2015 Player of the Year in the PFA Premier League. He was absolutely brilliant at the end of the season, as I pointed out. Particularly his performances against Tottenham and Bournemouth were electric. Anything like that with this Belgian side around him, I think he'll be a real highlight of the tournament. He'll be desperate to prove his critics wrong. He's coming into this tournament fairly fresh because he wasn't playing all the time at Chelsea this season because he was out of form pretty much throughout it. But he could put himself in the shop window for his move to PSG with a great performance here. So I think a glittering Euro 2016 is ahead for Eden Hazard. Best price 20-1.
The last kind of 5 games is where he came in.
Absolutely.
We saw a bit of the old Hazard from last season. He was pretty good in those last 5 games. Definitely, he was up there with he was like he was last season. Pretty much, he was kind of back to his best. Before that, he was just absolutely shockingly bad.
Had I not seen those 5 games, I would have just stayed completely away from Hazard in this market and probably gone towards De Bruyne.
Okay.
But with those glittering last 5 games where he was just almost back to his best, gliding past players at will. 20-1 I think is a decent price there.
Okay, 20-1. So we've got a 12-1 winner, and then 20-1 on top of that.
Not bad.
That's perfect. That'd be a nice bit of money after the Euros to drown your sorrows in England, going out in the group stages to get a bit of money to buy a couple of pints.
But we're still to make it a hat trick.
Yeah. Next up, top goal scorer.
Yeah.
Is there going to be someone who's going to score 200 goals in the group stages against these little nations, do you think?
Yeah, I think that's going to be key here, the group stages. My third and final outright selection in my Euro 2016 video here is Cristiano Ronaldo to be top scorer at a best price of 9-1. He's actually absolute outright favourite with Thomas Müller.
That's actually pretty good, 9-1.
Yeah, he's actually fallen in price also, similar to my Belgium tip. Only by a little bit though. I tipped him at 9-1 earlier in the week on easyodds.com. It's now gone down to 8-1 along with Thomas Müller. You can get Griezmann at 10-1. You can get Kane at 16-1. You can get Lewandowski at 16-1. You can get my man Eden Hazard at 16-1, or De Bruyne at 16-1, or Lukaku at 20-1. So it is a short price, but I just think that the fact of the matter is that they're in a group with Hungary, Iceland and Austria, which is not a tough group at all. I would argue that that's probably the easiest group of all the 6 groups in Euro 2016, and the Real Madrid man has already scored 51 goals this season, which is quite a lot of goals.
That's all right, isn't it? It's quite good going.
He's got a scary tally of 16 in the Champions League, so he proves that he can do it in the big games. Of course, he also scored the winning penalty in the Champions League final this season against Atletico Madrid.
course.
And here's another good stat for you. He's actually the current European Championship top goal scorer of all time, with 23 goals in qualifying and in tournament football.
Ah.
So basically, I'm backing the best player in the European Championships to be the top scorer, which I think is a pretty good,
At 9-1.
decent reason. At 9-1.
Absolutely fine.
So I'm hoping, as I'm not exactly sure if Portugal can go too far in the knockout stages, although they have beaten Belgium recently, which surprised me, and it leaves me a little bit worried about my outright tip. But they have beaten Belgium in the last few months. 2-1 win there. 9-1, top goal scorer, Cristiano Ronaldo.
What do you think he'll win? He could easily score 5 or 6 goals, couldn't he, in the group stages,
Yep.
or 5 goals? I reckon that might be good enough.
It could be good enough,
Thing.
absolutely.
That could easily be good enough to win the whole thing.
Yep.
So there you go.
9-1 there, but best price. So those 3 choices again with Labrooks. Belgium to win at 12-1. Hazard to be player of the tournament at 20-1. Top goal scorer, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Nailed it.
So thanks very much for watching. I've been Ross Casey. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, where you can click the button just above Jake's head right there, and make sure that you get our tips on a daily basis now, not even a weekly basis, moving forward into the European Championships, where we will have match tips for every single game. We'll probably do them in a day version rather than posting 3 videos a day, separate videos. We'll probably squeeze them into day 1 tips, day 2 tips, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And of course, don't forget to download my tips via the app, where I've got tips for every single group, every single team preview, every single match throughout the whole tournament. I'm really looking forward to it. Quite proud of how good it looks, how
It looks great.
how it reads. So please check it out. It's free to download. So
There's so much content. It's just so, it's, if you want to do a bet on the Euros, it's basically just have a read of that, and you'll be able to.
and make sure that of course that through the easy odds comparison, you'll get the best prices,
and you'll know not to back Albania to win the whole thing.
That is key.
If you read Ross's pieces in the app, you'll know that you shouldn't back Albania to win the whole thing. You shouldn't back Wales to win the whole thing, but you should back Belgium.
Absolutely. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. I've been Ross Casey, and this is Jake Johns.